Coming back to the admin panel here, WordPress admin panel, let's click on customize. So this is where we can customize, tweak the settings behind each theme, and each theme will have its own individual different elements that you can customize here. Most of them will have these default ones here, some will have more. Do we want the static page to be the home page, or do we want it to be the blog post? We can have it as the latest post, or we can create a static page and we can specify what that static page is on the home page. So for instance, if we wanted the About Us page to be the home page, which in some circumstances can work, but let's just, as an example, let's do that. So I've just hit save, and now let's go to the site itself and hit refresh again, and here on the home page it's now showing as the About Us. Coming back from this section here, site identity, we've got our site title, tagline. Colors, we can edit the color scheme. Menus, what menus do we want? You can put menus here and down the bottom. Again, we'll come back to that later. Widgets are add-on things that you can do. So you can put widgets into side menus. Main widget area. This bit here. And we've got the footer. So let's go back. So that is just a quick customization of the theme there. I'll talk you through better theme options in a separate video, because the theme you use defines your brand. So think about it very, very carefully. We'll come to that in a separate video. Widgets we looked at just now, these are things that you can drag and drop into different sections of the site depending on what theme you're using. Again, we'll come back to that. Menus are the navigation sections. So for instance, here, this is a menu. Down here, you could have a menu system down there. Header, we can change what header we want up here. There's different image options, and we can change the way it looks up there. Again, it's a case of editing it to how you want it to look for your brand. The editor option here, you hopefully, almost certainly will not need. This is where it gets super technical and you're into the code. So hopefully you won't need to look at that. Plugins are add-on. They're a bit like widgets, but they're things that you can pull in from outside in the WordPress live plugins library. You can download them, you can get the free ones, and you can pay for pro versions of them if they do one of these super clever things, and you can add them into your site to make it do separate clever things. For instance, you can have a newsletter plugin that will create a newsletter system for you. You can have an e-commerce plugin that will suddenly turn your site into a shop, so you can actually take money and then release things, send them things, or sell them digital things, like sell them sheet music, or to sell them maths tests, or to sell to whatever it is. If you're going to do an e-commerce setup, I strongly suggest you look at tutortube.com as your site to do that for, because it's free, quick, easy, and you won't have to worry about any of this. So moving on, we can add new plugins here, or same up here, and we can drop in. These are the ones that are on the WordPress library. We can search for certain ones we want. We can look for popular ones that maybe we know the name of. Again, in a separate video, I will show you both the ones I would strongly recommend that you have and some optional extras as well. Users, these are people who are registered on your site. Obviously at the moment we've just got myself, as I've just registered to create this site. Other people, say someone else works within your company, you might want to set them up as a user so they can log in and edit. Profile is just the profile of yourself. To add new, that's just to add another user, someone who wants to edit the site for you. Tools, you probably won't need this section at all. Settings, you will certainly need to look at this. So within the settings area here, I've just clicked on settings. We're in the general settings. Site title, we've already defined that. Tagline, we've defined that. The web address here. Email address that is going to get sent all the updates for this site. Membership, can anyone register? Don't tick that unless you absolutely know you want to create a membership system or to allow people to register. Default user role subscriber. Time zone, I would suggest changing that, because it can affect how Google looks at your site as to where you are based. So if you're in UK, if you're in England, UK, etc., then London is the time zone you want. Date format, you can choose whichever you want, none of that particularly matters. Site language, English, let's have it as English UK. Got that English UK. Save changes. Settings saved. Coming down to settings writing. So this is the page we looked at briefly earlier on when we changed the default blog post to maths, or to whatever we wanted that to category to be. Default post category. Default post format, leave that. all of these email sections here you can leave. The update services, this is where the ping will occur. This is where, when you've made a new blog post, it's going to send out a bit like a text message, an SMS, to each of these sites saying, hey look, there's been a new update on our site. Come and check us out and index, record that we've got something new. That site will then tell Google, or Google will index that site, the Pingomatics, all these other sites, and that's how Google will find out that you've got a site, that you've got a new blog post, and update accordingly. So I'll give you a list of sites to drop into here. Just copy and paste them. Save changes, and on we go. Settings saved. Reading, settings reading here. Front page, do you want it to display your latest posts as a blog, news, update, bulletin type thing, which every time you put a new blog post, it will change your home page and the older ones will shuffle down a bit? Or do you want a static page as your home page? And then you specify what page you want it to be. Blog page is to show, if you choose your latest post to show on your home page, how many blog posts do you want to show on that page, if you've got it on your home page or if you've got it as a separate page as the news /blog. The rest of it you don't need to worry about. Search engine visibility. Discourage search engine from indexing the site. I'd suggest you don't need to tick that unless you're going to take a day or two to edit this site. If it's going to take you a long time to set up this site, if you're worried about tweaking and slowly doing it, then discourage search engines from indexing the site while you're editing your site, and then save changes. And then when you're happy that you've finished editing everything, untick that, save changes, and only then add a new blog post. Because again, as I said before, when you add a new blog post, it will tell Google that you've got something new, and it will therefore, for the first time, show Google that this site exists, and that's when they'll first index you. It's best to give something good to Google when you first index them. Coming down the left menu, settings, discussion. So now let's look at the discussion settings. Bit of a consideration to think through. I would suggest that you untick these unless you've got a very positive reason to tick them. What these do is they makes your site, your web hosting, work a bit harder to send out a message from your site to other sites that you link to. So for instance, if you write a post or a page that links to other sites, your site here, if you have these ticked, will try to contact those sites and say, we just mentioned you. The reason for that is that you could maybe hook up. If you can think that you're actually going to use this, then tick it, but otherwise untick it, because it will slow your site down slightly, and site speed matters a lot. We'll come on to site speed in a separate section, but just for now let's just go with the fact that site speed really matters. If you think of yourself when you hit a website that's really slow loading. Comment settings here. You can tweak this and change it over time. You don't have to make a definitive decision on this now. If you get a load of spam that you really get fed up with, then you might want to consider making commenting people have to register. If you've got a Kismet set up, then that will cut out a lot of the spam, but that's certainly something to consider here if they've got to be registered and logged in. You don't need to change any of these particularly. Email me if someone posts a comment. Have that, because then you know there's something to be moderated when there's a comment to be moderated. Comments must be manually approved. I would strongly suggest you tick that, because you don't want spammy comments automatically showing on your site. So tick that to make sure you've got to manually approve a comment before it shows. And that's all we need for here. Coming down here, avatars. I would suggest that you change the default avatar to blank. Again, for site speed reasons, there's no point loading an image if you don't need to. Just leave it as blank if they don't have their own personal avatar. An avatar is a picture that's attached to their own account that will show, might be a photo of them that comes up whenever they make a comment on the site. Save changes. That's settings saved. Moving down to media. So these are the media settings. When you upload an image, it will copy or crunch the image into a thumbnail version, a medium-sized version, and a large-sized version, so you can quickly and easily flick to which one of those you want to use within your blog post or page. Here you can specify the size of those: large, medium, small. So that's it. If you've changed anything, click Save Changes. The permalinks we've already looked at, so you should have changed those to a custom structure, preferably category /post name. Limit login attempts. The default settings are absolutely fine. If you've got a good reason to change them, go for it. Otherwise, as it is installed, default settings are absolutely fine. So that's the end of this video. We've just seen the main, most important settings to tweak and change within your site, WordPress admin. And we've also just gone one by one down this left menu to look at what to change and where. There's a few minor tweaks to change, and the two main things that we need to do is look at plugins, and we need to look at themes in appearances. So we'll do those in the next few videos.